Most of us have been taught that, as we pass 60, feeling weaker or struggling to get up from a chair is simply an inevitable part of the bargain we make with time. We tell ourselves it's just nature taking its course. But in my clinical experience, that's not entirely true. Think of your body as a family home where the foundation is being slowly eroded by a silent leak you haven't noticed yet. I'm Dr. Eric Whitman, and I've seen too many patients lose their freedom because this leak, a process called sarcopenia, was allowed to steal their muscle mass year after year. This isn't just about fitness. It's about the devastating price of losing your independence and having to rely on others for your basic movements. The good news is, you can stop this. The solution is sitting in your refrigerator right now. Today, I'll show you how 5 specific types of cheese can actually rebuild your strength and protect your autonomy. Are you here for myself or a loved one? To truly understand how we protect our future, we have to look closely at a condition that is quietly affecting millions of Americans right now, yet is rarely discussed in detail during your 10-minute checkup with a primary care physician. I want to introduce you to the silent enemy of your independence. In the medical world, we call it sarcopenia. The word comes from the Greek sarx, meaning flesh, and penia, meaning loss. It literally translates to the poverty of flesh. But for you sitting at home, sarcopenia isn't just a fancy Greek term. It is the physical reason why the jars in your pantry feel tighter than they used to, why the stairs feel steeper, and why your balance doesn't feel as locked in as it did a decade ago. I often use an analogy in my clinic to help my patients visualize what is happening inside their bodies. Imagine your muscles are like a massive bundle of thick, heavy-duty elastic ropes. When you are in your 20s and 30s, these ropes are brand new. They are supple, they snap back instantly, and they can lift almost anything. But as we age, if we don't actively maintain these ropes, they start to fray. One small fiber snaps here, another becomes thin and brittle there. Over time, the bundle doesn't disappear entirely, but it becomes smaller and much less reliable. This is the essence of sarcopenia. It isn't just about the size of the muscle, it's about the quality and the function. When those ropes fray, you lose your power. And in the United States, where our lifestyle often involves a lot of sitting and processed convenience foods, this process happens much faster than it should. Let's look at the hard truth of the numbers, because as a doctor, I believe data empowers you. Research shows that sarcopenia doesn't wait until you re-old to start its work. It actually begins its stealthy theft as early as your 30s. From that point on, if you aren't proactive, you can expect to lose between 3% and 8% of your muscle mass every single decade. Now, 3% might sound small, but think about the compounding effect. By the time you hit 60, that acceleration moves into high gear. If you are 60 years old today and you do nothing to change your trajectory, by the time you are 70, you could have lost nearly 10% of your total strength. By 80, you could be operating on only 60% of the physical engine you had in your prime. Think about what that looks like in your daily life. It is the difference between being the grandparent who can scoop up a toddler for a hug without thinking twice versus being the grandparent who has to stay seated on the sidelines because their legs feel heavy or unstable. It is the difference between living in your own 2-story home that you love versus having to move into an assisted living facility because you can no longer navigate the environment safely. In my practice, the thing that keeps me up at night regarding my senior patients is the fall. In the US, a fall for someone over 65 is a life-altering event. It's not just a bruise or a scrape. Because sarcopenia weakens the muscles that stabilize your joints, your balance suffers. When you stumble, you don't have the snap in your muscles to catch yourself. This leads to hip fractures, which are statistically one of the primary drivers of a permanent loss of independence for Americans over 70. But I'm not here to just give you a grim diagnosis. I am here to give you the strategy to fight back. And that strategy starts with a food that has been unfairly demonized for years in American health culture: cheese. I know. For 30 years, we've been told by every health headline to cut the fat and watch the salt. We've been conditioned to view cheese as a guilty pleasure, or something that clogs arteries. But as a doctor who specializes in aging and prevention, I want to tell you that when it comes to your muscles, cheese is a nutritional superhero. Let's dismantle that stigma right now. Yes, some cheeses are high in sodium, and yes, they contain saturated fat. But if we are smart about our choices, selecting high-quality, aged, or fresh varieties, and eating them in sensible portions, the benefits for muscle preservation far outweigh the risks for the vast majority of people. We have to stop looking at food as just calories and start looking at it as information for our cells. To understand why cheese is so effective, we need to talk about another analogy, the brick wall. Your muscles are like a brick wall that is constantly under construction. Every single day, your body is breaking down old, damaged muscle bricks and trying to replace them with new ones. To do this, you need a constant supply of high-quality protein. Protein is the raw material, the bricks themselves. However, after age 60, something frustrating happens. We develop what is known as anabolic resistance. Think of it like this. Imagine the foreman of your muscle construction site has become hard of hearing. Let us call him the deaf foreman. When you were 20, you could eat a small amount of protein, and the foreman would hear the signal clearly and start building muscle immediately. But as you age, the foreman's hearing fades. You can send him the bricks, but if the signal isn't loud enough, he just sits there. The bricks don't get used, and the wall continues to crumble. This is why just eating a little protein isn't enough for a 65-year-old. You have to shout at the foreman. You need a higher concentration of specific amino acids to trigger the muscle-building process. This is where cheese becomes your most powerful tool. It is essentially concentrated milk, providing a massive, high-decibel signal to that deaf foreman to get back to work. 3 key elements in cheese may make it uniquely suited to override anabolic resistance and save your muscles. First, there is leucine. If protein is the brick, leucine is the on switch for the construction crew. It is the specific amino acid that signals the body to start protein synthesis. Without enough leucine, it doesn't matter how much other protein you eat. The foreman won't start the job. Most plant-based proteins are quite low in leucine, but dairy, and specifically cheese, is packed with it. It provides the loud signal your body needs to overcome aging-related resistance. Second, cheese gives you the perfect combination of casein and whey. Think of these as 2 different delivery systems. Whey is the fast-acting protein. It floods your bloodstream with amino acids quickly, which is perfect after you've been active. Casein, however, is the slow-drip protein. It forms a gel in the stomach and releases amino acids slowly over several hours. This is vital because it provides a drip irrigation of nutrients to your muscles while you sleep, preventing the body from breaking down its own muscle for energy during the night. Finally, we cannot ignore the calcium and vitamin D synergy. In the American medical system, we talk a lot about calcium for bones, but we often forget that calcium is the electrical trigger for muscle contraction. Your muscles cannot move without it. Many of the cheeses I am going to recommend are not only high in calcium, but are often consumed with or enriched by vitamin D, creating a power couple that strengthens the bone and the muscle simultaneously. You see, a strong bone is useless if the muscle attached to it is too weak to move it, and a strong muscle is dangerous if the bone it's pulling on is brittle. Cheese addresses both sides of that equation in one delicious package. So, as we move forward, I want you to shift your mindset. We aren't just eating cheese because it tastes good. We are using specific, high-quality cheeses as a clinical intervention to stop the silent thief of sarcopenia in its tracks. We are giving your body the bricks it needs and the loud signal required to make sure those bricks actually get put into the wall. In the next section, I'm going to break down exactly which 5 cheeses you should be looking for during your next trip to the grocery store and why each one plays a specific role in your independence protocol. We are going to move from the theory of the deaf foreman to the practical reality of your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because at the end of the day, my goal is to make sure you are the one in control of your movement, your health, and your future. Let's look at the champions of the dairy aisle. Now that we have identified the silent thief of sarcopenia and understood the biological deaf foreman that hinders our muscle growth as we age, it is time to get practical. We aren't just going to talk about science, we are going to talk about your next trip to the grocery store. Whether you shop at Costco, Trader Joe's, or your local neighborhood market, I want you to look at the dairy aisle as your personal pharmacy for independence. I have selected 5 specific cheese champions. Each one has a unique scientific profile that targets a different aspect of muscle preservation and recovery. Let's dive into our first champion, a food that many of you might remember from the diet fads of the 1980s, but which is making a massive, scientifically backed comeback in senior nutrition. If I could recommend just one dietary change to my patients over 60, it might be the reintroduction of cottage cheese. For years, cottage cheese was associated with boring weight loss plates, often served with a lonely scoop of canned peaches. But in the world of clinical nutrition, we call it the night guardian. The scientific why, the magic of cottage cheese lies in its ratio of proteins. It is incredibly high in casein. About 80% of the protein in cottage cheese is casein, and for someone trying to maintain muscle mass after 60, this is a game changer. Unlike whey protein, which is digested quickly, casein is a slow-release protein. When you consume it, it interacts with your stomach acid to form a kind of nutritional gel. This gel isn't a bad thing. It's a brilliant biological time-release mechanism. It takes your body several hours to break down this casein gel into amino acids. Why does this matter for you? Because of the overnight catabolic window. When you sleep for 7 or 8 hours, you are essentially in a state of fasting. For a 20-year-old, the body handles this fine. But for a 65-year-old with anabolic resistance, the body often starts cannibalizing its own muscle tissue during the night to keep the blood sugar stable and provide energy for the organs. By eating cottage cheese an hour or 2 before bed, you are essentially putting a bodyguard on your muscles. You are providing a slow, steady drip of amino acids into your bloodstream all night long. Instead of breaking down muscle to survive the night, your body uses that slow-release casein to repair and maintain those precious fibers while you dream. Dr. Eric's clinical tip. In my practice, I find that many Americans are sensitive to the high sodium levels in standard cottage cheese. If you have concerns about blood pressure, look specifically for the low sodium or no salt added versions. I also recommend the 1% or 2% low-fat versions. While we want the protein, we don't necessarily need the extra saturated fat found in the 4% versions if we are eating it daily. How to enjoy it? Don't settle for the boring versions of the past. The savory Mediterranean. Mix half a cup of cottage cheese with cracked black pepper, fresh dill, and sliced cucumbers. It's refreshing and incredibly high in protein, about 14 grams per half cup. The power breakfast. Use it as a base instead of yogurt. Top it with fresh blueberries. The antioxidants in the berries work synergistically with the protein to reduce muscle inflammation. Our next champion is a heavy hitter. When it comes to bang for your buck, nothing beats a high-quality, aged Parmesan. And I want to be very clear here. I am not talking about the shelf-stable powder that comes in a green shaker can. That is mostly cellulose, wood pulp, and fillers. I am talking about the real hard block labeled Parmigiano Reggiano. The scientific why. Parmesan is the most protein-dense cheese on the planet. Because it is a hard cheese that has been aged for 12, 24, or even 36 months, it has lost almost all of its water content. What remains is a concentrated brick of nutrients. Just 1 ounce of Parmesan contains about 10 grams of protein. But it's not just the amount of protein, it's the bioavailability. During those years of aging, the proteins in the cheese undergo a process called proteolysis. Essentially, the enzymes in the cheese have already started breaking the complex proteins down into smaller peptides and free amino acids. In medical terms, Parmesan is pre-digested. This is a huge advantage for my patients over 70, who might have slightly weaker digestion or lower stomach acid. Your body doesn't have to work hard to get the nutrients. They are ready for immediate absorption. Most importantly, Parmesan is one of the highest natural sources of leucine. As we discussed, leucine is the construction foreman that shouts at your muscles to start building. If your muscles aren't responding to your workouts or your diet, you likely aren't getting enough leucine to flip the switch. Parmesan provides that loud signal. Dr. Eric's clinical tip. I often hear from patients who are lactose intolerant. Here is the great news. Because of the long fermentation and aging process, authentic Parmesan is naturally almost lactose-free. The bacteria have already consumed the milk sugar, lactose, for you. If you've avoided dairy because it upsets your stomach, Parmesan is often the safe gateway back to high-quality animal protein. How to enjoy it? Because it is high in sodium and calories, treat Parmesan as a nutritional seasoning. The umami boost. Grate an ounce of fresh Parmesan over a bowl of vegetable soup or a salad. You aren't just adding flavor, you are adding a therapeutic dose of leucine to your meal. The apple slice hack. For a perfect afternoon snack, take a few thin slices of a crisp Granny Smith apple and top them with small shards of Parmesan. The fiber in the apple and the protein in the cheese will keep your energy stable until dinner and prevent that 3 p.m. slump. While cottage cheese is the night guardian and Parmesan is the concentrate, ricotta is what I call the versatile builder. It is a staple of Italian households, and for a good reason. The scientific why. Ricotta is unique because it is made primarily from the whey left over from the production of other cheeses. If you've ever seen bodybuilders at the gym drinking whey shakes, there is a reason for it. Whey is the fastest absorbing protein available. While casein, in cottage cheese, is a slow drip, whey is a fast flood. This makes ricotta the perfect post-activity food. Imagine you've just spent an hour in the garden, or you've come back from a brisk 20-minute walk around the neighborhood. Your muscles have been working, and they are now primed to take in nutrients. Your muscle cells have small receptors that open up during and after exercise. If you eat ricotta shortly after being active, those whey proteins reach your muscle fibers almost instantly, providing the bricks exactly when the construction order is loudest. Additionally, ricotta is incredibly high in calcium. For my female patients over 60 who face a significantly higher risk of osteoporosis, ricotta provides a double benefit. It supports the muscle to move the bone and the calcium to strengthen the bone itself. Dr. Eric's clinical tip. As we age, some of us face dental challenges, implants, bridges, or just sensitive gums that make chewing tough meats like steak or chicken breast difficult. Ricotta is a mechanical soft food. It requires zero effort to chew, but provides high-quality animal protein that plant-based soft foods, NHU pudding or oatmeal, simply cannot match in terms of amino acid profile. How to enjoy it? The ricotta toast. Swap out your morning butter or jelly. Spread 2 tablespoons of whole milk ricotta on a piece of sprouted grain toast. Add a drizzle of raw honey or a few sliced strawberries. You've just turned a carb-heavy breakfast into a muscle-building powerhouse. Creamy scrambled eggs. Whisk a tablespoon of ricotta into your eggs before scrambling them. It adds a luxurious texture and boosts the protein count without needing extra butter or oil. Now, let's travel to the Alps. Swiss-style cheeses like Gruyere or Emmental, the classic cheese with the holes, are much more than just a topping for a sandwich. They are what I call triple action cheeses for the aging body. The scientific why. Gruyere is a nutritional titan for 3 specific reasons. Protein density. Like Parmesan, it is a semi-hard cheese, meaning it has a high concentration of protein, about 8 grams per ounce. Vitamin K2. This is a nutrient that is finally getting the attention it deserves in the US medical community. Vitamin K2 acts like a traffic cop for calcium. It ensures that the calcium you eat goes into your bones and muscles, where it belongs, rather than depositing in your arteries, where it can cause heart disease. Swiss cheeses are among the best fermented sources of K2. Probiotics. These cheeses are fermented with specific bacteria, Propionibacterium, that produce the holes. These bacteria are beneficial for your gut microbiome. As we age, our gut health often declines, making it harder for us to absorb the very nutrients we are eating. The probiotics in Gruyere help maintain a healthy gut lining, ensuring that the protein you eat actually makes it into your bloodstream. Dr. Eric's clinical tip. Many seniors struggle with anorexia of aging, a fancy way of saying they lose their appetite and don't feel like eating large meals. Because Gruyere has such a rich, nutty, and savory flavor, it can stimulate the appetite and make simple vegetables more palatable. How to enjoy it? The vegetable gratin. If you find plain broccoli or cauliflower unappealing, grate some Gruyere over them and pop them under the broiler for 2 minutes. You are adding flavor, protein, and K2 to a healthy vegetable dish. The ultimate sandwich. Use thin slices of Gruyere on a turkey sandwich. The combination of turkey, lean protein, and Gruyere, high leucine protein, creates a complete amino acid profile that is perfect for a midday energy boost. Our final champion comes from Spain. Manchego is made from sheep's milk, and for my patients over 60, this is a secret weapon for energy and muscle oxygenation. The scientific why. Manchego, specifically the curado, aged variety, is a powerhouse of vitamin B12. Why is B12 so important for your muscles? You can have all the muscle mass in the world, but if those muscles don't receive enough oxygen, they will feel heavy, fatigued, and weak. Vitamin B12 is essential for the production of healthy red blood cells. These cells are the delivery trucks that carry oxygen from your lungs to your working muscles. Many Americans over 60 are subclinically deficient in B12 because our stomach lining changes as we age, making it harder to absorb B12 from supplements or meat. However, the B12 in fermented sheep's milk cheese is highly bioavailable. By eating Manchego, you are supporting the delivery system that keeps your muscles fueled and awake. Furthermore, sheep's milk has a higher medium-chain triglyceride, MCT, content than cow's milk. These are fats that your body can use almost immediately for energy, rather than storing them as body fat. Dr. Eric's clinical tip. If cow's milk gives you congestion or digestive heaviness, you may find that sheep's milk cheese, such as Manchego, is much easier on your system. The protein molecules in sheep's milk are smaller and more easily broken down by human digestive enzymes. How to enjoy it. The tapas. Snack. Do what they do in Spain. Serve a few wedges of Manchego with a handful of raw almonds. The healthy fats in the almonds and the B12 for protein in the cheese make this a brain and brawn snack that protects your muscles and your cognitive function at the same time. Salad shavings. Use a vegetable peeler to create thin ribbons of Manchego over an arugula salad. The peppery greens and the savory cheese are a perfect match. As we conclude this section on our 5 champions, I want you to remember that the goal isn't to eat a pound of cheese a day. The goal is strategic integration. In my clinical experience, the most successful patients are the ones who don't go on diets, but who make upgrades. Instead of butter on your toast, use ricotta. Instead of a sugary granola bar at 3 p.m., have some Parmesan and an apple. Instead of a bowl of cereal before bed, try a small serving of cottage cheese. These small, high-protein shouts to your muscle foreman are what eventually stop the silent thief of sarcopenia. You are building a foundation of strength, one delicious bite at a time. But as I mentioned before, these bricks need a construction order to be put in place. In our next and final section, I'm going to show you the 3 simple movements that tell your body exactly what to do with all this high-quality protein. Let's talk about the partner to your nutrition. Resistance. We have spent a significant amount of time discussing the bricks of our muscle foundation. Those high-quality proteins found in cottage cheese, Parmesan, Ricotta, Gruyere, and Manchego. By now you understand that after age 60, your body needs a louder signal to maintain its strength. But I have to be incredibly honest with you, and this is where many health programs fail their participants. Protein, as miraculous as it is, cannot work in a vacuum. Imagine you are standing in front of a vacant lot where you want to build a beautiful guest house. You've done your homework. You've ordered the highest quality Italian bricks, the best mortar, and the most durable timber. a massive truck arrives and dumps all these materials in a neat pile on the grass. You have everything you need. But if you just stand there and look at that pile, a house will never appear. The materials will sit there, weathering in the rain, until they eventually crumble and go to waste. To build that house, you need a construction order. You need a blueprint and a foreman who says, "Today, we are laying the foundation. Today, we are raising the walls." In the human body, specifically the body over 60, resistance exercise is the construction order. Without it, all the protein in the world is just a pile of unused bricks sitting in your bloodstream. In medical terms, we call the mechanism behind this mechanotransduction. It sounds complicated, but it's actually a beautiful biological conversation. When you put a mechanical load on a muscle, even a small one, it sends a chemical signal to your cells. This signal tells the project manager inside your muscles, a protein complex called mTOR, that the current structure is not strong enough to handle the workload. It essentially says, "We need reinforcements. Use those amino acids from the manchego we just ate and build more fibers right here." If you eat the protein, but don't give the order, your body, which is a master of efficiency, will simply burn that protein for energy or, worse, store it as fat. It won't waste energy building muscle that it doesn't think you need. This is the missing link. This is why some people eat a healthy diet, but still feel frail. They have the materials, but they haven't sent the order. Now, when I say exercise, I want you to take a deep breath. I am not talking about joining a CrossFit gym, lifting 100 pounds, or running a marathon. In fact, for the goal of independence after 60, the most effective exercises are often the ones you can do in your living room while wearing your slippers. I want to walk you through 3 independence exercises that require zero equipment but provide a massive construction order to your body. If you only do one exercise for the rest of your life, let it be this one. In clinical geriatrics, the ability to rise from a chair without using your arms is the single best predictor of whether someone can live independently or will eventually need a nursing home. Why it matters? The chair stand targets your quadriceps, glutes, and core. These are the powerhouse muscles of the human body. Think about your day. You need these muscles to get off the toilet, to get out of your car, to get up from the sofa, and to climb stairs. When these muscles wither due to sarcopenia, your world shrinks. You start avoiding certain chairs, you stop visiting friends who have stairs, and eventually you become a prisoner of your own home. How to do it? The proper way. Find a sturdy chair, not one with wheels or a soft sofa. A dining chair is perfect. Sit near the front edge of the seat with your feet flat on the floor, about shoulder width apart. Cross your arms over your chest. This is vital. Do not use your hands to push off your knees or the armrests. Lean slightly forward, keeping your back straight, and stand up using only your leg power. Pause for a second at the top, and then, this is the most important part, sit back down slowly and with control. Don't just plop down. The slow descent is where the most muscle repair signals are generated. Dr. Eric's clinical tip: if you can't do this without your arms yet, that's okay. This is a journey, not a race. Use the armrests for just a tiny bit of help, or use a higher chair. Aim for 5 repetitions. As you get stronger from your new protein-rich diet, try to reach 12 repetitions. When you can do 12 reps comfortably, you have essentially armored your independence. One of the greatest fears my patients have is the fall. Falls in the U.S. lead to over 3 million emergency room visits a year for seniors. The key to preventing a fall isn't just luck, it's the strength of your lower legs. Why it matters: the muscles in your calves, the gastrocnemius and soleus, are responsible for what we call ankle strategy. When you trip on a rug or a curb, your brain sends a lightning-fast signal to your calves to plant and stabilize you. If those muscles are weak, you can't catch yourself, and down you go. Furthermore, the calf is often called the second heart. When these muscles contract, they help pump blood back up from your legs to your heart. improving circulation and reducing the heavy leg feeling that many seniors complain about. How to do it. Stand behind your sturdy chair or at your kitchen counter. Lightly place your fingertips on the surface for balance. Don't lean on it. Slowly rise up onto the balls of your feet as high as you can go, like you're trying to reach a high shelf. Hold that up position for a count of 2. Feel the squeeze in your calves. Lower your heels back to the floor slowly. Dr. Eric's clinical tip. I have many patients who do this while they are waiting for their morning coffee to brew or while they are brushing their teeth. It takes 60 seconds. Doing 15 to 20 of these daily builds a suspension system for your ankles that acts as a primary defense against fractures. As we age, we tend to develop a forward lean. Sarcopenia often attacks the muscles of the upper back first because we rarely use them in modern life. We are always reaching forward, to type, to drive, to cook. Why it matters. When the muscles between your shoulder blades, the rhomboids and trapezius, weaken, your shoulders round forward and your chin tucks down. This doesn't just look older, it's dangerous. It shifts your center of gravity forward, making you much more likely to fall face first. It also compresses your lungs, making it harder to breathe deeply. By strengthening the pulling muscles of your back, you pull your shoulders back and open up your chest. You stand taller, you breathe better, and you project confidence. How to do it? You can use a simple resistance band. You can find these for $5 at any big box store. Sit in a chair with your legs extended. Wrap the band around the arches of your feet. Hold the ends of the band with your palms facing each other. Pull the band toward your waist, tucking your elbows close to your sides. As you pull, imagine you are trying to squeeze a pencil between your shoulder blades. Release slowly. Dr. Eric's clinical tip. This exercise is a mood booster. There is a deep psychological connection between posture and hormones. When you stand or sit tall with your shoulders back, a position this exercise makes natural, your brain actually produces less cortisol, stress hormone. You feel more in control. This is the central philosophy I want you to take away today. If you have one without the other, you are fighting with one hand tied behind your back. If you exercise but don't eat the Parmesan or the cottage cheese, your body will break down its own tissue to find the fuel it needs, and you'll end up feeling more exhausted. If you eat the cheese but don't do the chair stands, you're just adding calories without adding strength. But when you combine them, that's when the magic happens. That's when my patients come back to the clinic 3 months later and tell me, "Dr. Eric, I went to the park with my grandkids and I actually got down on the grass with them and I got back up by myself." That is the miracle we are looking for. We have covered a lot of ground today. We've unmasked the silent thief of sarcopenia. We've dismantled the outdated myths that say we have to be weak just because we've had 60 or 70 birthdays. We've identified 5 cheese champions that turn your kitchen into a center for longevity. And we've learned the simple movements that tell your body to put those nutrients to work. But as your doctor, I want to leave you with a final thought that is more important than the science of leucine or the mechanics of a chair stand. In our culture, we are often sold a very bleak version of aging. We are told that life after 60 is a slow slide into dependence, a fading away, where we eventually become spectators in our own lives. I am here to tell you that it is a lie. Science shows us that the human body is incredibly resilient. Your muscle fibers, even at 80 years old, are still capable of repair and growth. They are simply waiting for the right materials and the right orders. I want you to embrace the small changes philosophy. You don't have to overhaul your entire life by tomorrow morning. You don't have to throw away everything in your pantry. Start with one thing. Maybe tomorrow, you'll swap your usual breakfast for some ricotta on toast. Maybe you'll do 5 chair stands before you sit down for dinner. These aren't just health tips. These are acts of self-love. Every time you choose a protein-rich snack or perform a set of heel raises, you are making an investment in your future self. You are saying to yourself, I value my freedom. I value my ability to walk my daughter down the aisle, to travel to the places I've always wanted to see, and to live in my own home with dignity. You are the CEO of your own health. The American medical system is wonderful at treating acute problems, fixing a broken bone or performing a heart bypass. But the system is not designed to maintain your day-to-day strength. That responsibility belongs to you, and now you have the tools to do it. Don't let this information just be another video you watched and forgot. Take action. Go to the fridge. Check your supplies. Start your construction order today. A strong, active, and independent future isn't a gift given to the lucky few. It is a result earned by those who take these small, delicious, and deliberate steps every day. If you found this information valuable, please do me a favor. We are building a community here of people who refuse to age quietly. Hit that like button so the YouTube algorithm can get this video in front of other seniors who might be feeling discouraged or weak. Subscribe to join us on this journey of proactive health. And I truly want to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Tell me, which of the 5 cheeses are you going to add to your grocery list? Or better yet, tell me about a goal you have. Is it walking a mile? Is it playing with your grandkids? Sharing your goals makes them real. I'm Dr. Eric Whitman. Thank you for trusting me with your time and your health. Stay strong, stay independent, and I'll see you in the next video. The greatest danger you face right now isn't a sudden illness. It is the silent, daily erosion of your muscle mass that goes entirely unnoticed until it begins to dictate where you can go and what you can do. If you have ever felt your legs tremble slightly as you stand or found yourself reaching for a support out of habit, you have experienced this theft firsthand. It is not because you were negligent or indifferent to your health. It is simply because our medical system is designed to fix what is already broken, rather than explaining how to keep you strong from the very beginning. But your body is still remarkably resilient, and you still hold the controls to your own independence. If this message resonated with you today, please just leave a one-word comment. Strong. Joining this community is not about following a trend. It is a protective measure to ensure you never miss the early warnings that safeguard your future autonomy. Very soon, we need to discuss an even more invisible inflammation that is quietly draining your energy faster than your age ever could. I share this with you because I have met far too many patients who only wish they had known these truths a few years sooner. Stay active, and I will see you in the next one.